Whoop, whoop. Okay. That's the first thing they heard on the Zoom. Whoop, whoop. Good morning. There's my lovely daughter, Emily.
Hi.
Hey, Bay, how are you? So mute yourself. So there you go, unless you need to tell me something. So nice to have you. And then Mary will join us shortly. But welcome. So Emily, we're here, Jerry's here, and two of my yoga teacher training students who are becoming amazing students, and our good buddy Carrie, who she's also a runner. My daughter Emily is a big runner. You haven't done triathlons yet, have you, Emily? No.
Just they had the mini triathlons here, but obviously everything's canceled now.
Oh, you were starting to train for it, or yeah, but you.
Well, I'd like to, but with my back, I can't do any running right now.
Right. Yeah. Aw, there's Chuck. Hey, Bay. Hi, Ann. So, Ems, you can mute. Yeah, good. Good morning, Ann. How are you? And Mary's with us. Good. Hey. Are you muted, Ann? Do you have a little red microphone? There you go. Oh. There we go. Good. And Eileen's there. Great. All right. So let's come to a good seat. Oh, you should see this dog it's a foster dog if you want to come see it. Yeah. Let's see Chuck. Chuck is Charles is his real name, but he does yoga. What? Oh, we lost him. There he is. Is he so cute?
Super cute.
Yeah. He's got some Jack Russell in him. Huh? She's put bow ties on him before. All right. Good morning. All right. Take a good seat. Do a nice manual inner rotation. We move the inner thighs down, and that helps us free the trapped buttocks in the back. And you roll to the frontmost and innermost edge of the sits bones. When you do that, you can push back, and it appears as though you're spreading the sits bones apart. Into that space, then the tailbone moves down and slightly forward, so you tone the low belly. And you settle and breathe. Today since everything's been kind of dire and difficult, even more so, we'll work with the Sanskrit concept of lila, L-I-L-A. So lila is kind of the opposite of karma. Karma in classical yoga is seen as a punishment. It's kind of a negative feature of this embodied life. It's that wheel of samsara where your birth, death, the cycle of birth, death, rebirth over and over and over. And your goal in classical yoga is just to get off of it so you can get to nirvana. But in Tantra yoga, it's not the problem. Karma is kind of, it explains the universe until it doesn't. And then lila is the playful quality of it. So karma is probability and causality and certainty. And lila is entanglement and randomness and uncertainty. And in the movie Bagger Vance, The Legend of Bagger Vance, who plays that in the Bhagavad Gita, he's the Krishna character. He says to Arjuna, play the game, your game, the one that only you were meant to play, the one that was given to you when you come into this world. The game cannot be won, it can only be played. So Leela talks about a sense of freedom and joy, but we need the karma, we need the certainty. But if you're always certain, if there's too much certainty, not enough fun, not enough spontaneity, then it's pretty dull. There's no space for grace, for the uncertain. And on the flip side, if you have too much Leela, too much uncertainty, we know what that is. We're living in a time of huge uncertainty. You tend to lose control, you lose focus, you forget your purpose. So we sit in the middle place, that place in the middle between certainty and uncertainty, karma and lila. And come to your breath. With each inhale, you expand. With each exhale, it's a slight contraction. Each inhale, extend long. Exhale, hug into the midline, hug into your sense of playfulness. Breathe deeply. And you settle in. Where can you bring a richer, more joyful sense of Leela, of play into your life? It's hard right now. People are lucky if they're making a living, and if they're making a living, some people are working even harder because of it. We don't have, as Sherry said earlier this morning, this time has robbed me of my ability to hug, to be connected with other people. And yet at the same time, we've seen great evidence of where people find a way to play. They have a symphony on the driveway, a little small symphony on the driveway. They get outside and play music and dance in the neighborhood. We find ways to bring back that sense of playfulness. And so while we'll work with that sense of engaging and hugging, work more with playing that edge, being a little daring, having some fun with it. So as you playfully draw your palms together in front of the heart center. When that playful energy is balanced with the steady, certain energy, then we go deep into the heart. We find that we are already free. And our joy, the playfulness, is in setting the boundaries so that we can feel and express the joy that is in us and in all beings throughout the universe. So we'll do one Om and then the Shanti mantra. So those of you at home, if you don't have it at home, you can hum along or play. Just be playful, sing your own song. We can't hear you anyway. Om Sahana Bhavatu Sahano Bhunaktu Sahaviryam Bhavavahe Tejasvina Aditamastu Ma Vidvishavane. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. As you sit in the stillness of the vibration, watch again the play of your breath, flowing in, rolling out. The first place of play, the breath. Namaste. Flutter your eyes open. Come to hands and knees, assuming the position. And take the earring out so it doesn't keep bopping off across the AirPod there. All right, hands and knees. So we do this all the time at the beginning of class, almost every class. Infuse it with a sense of playfulness that has not been there before as you round and arch the back. Exhale, tailbone drops, waistline lifts, head bows. Inhale, sits bones lift, collarbones, shoulder blades slide down the back, collarbones lift, head lifts. Continue at your own pace, matching the breath with the movement. Coming into Ujjayi breath, where you're hearing the breath flowing in and out the nose. And the next time you come to center, pause there, tuck the toes of the right foot, slide it back, hug the muscles to the bones of the leg, lift the right leg, lift the opposite arm, exhale, elbow to knee. Inhale, expand. Exhale, contract. Inhale, expand. Keep going at your own pace. The contraction is more karma or Shiva energy. It's more steady. Expanding, more Shakti energy, more lila, more playfulness. You start to wobble a little more when both arms are away from the midline. The next time you come back into bird dog, pause, release, come back to table. Pause a minute, notice the difference between the two sides. On your next inhale, tuck the left toes, slide it back, lift the left leg, stretch the right arm, and exhale, elbow to knee. Inhale, expand. Even let a little wobbliness come into it. Wobbliness is just a sense of playfulness. As we do more balance poses today, you'll find a fair bit of wobble. How do we, if we come into that wobble with a sense of childlike joy, like, oh yeah, we just play because we can, not for any reason. And release back to table. Knees apart, toes together. Either do a full child's pose or a puppy pose. So puppy pose is where the hips stay over the knees, or child's pose with the knees wide apart, toes together. Rest your forehead on your hands and breathe. Notice the beating of your heart. It's a little faster than it was when you started. Come back to table. Tuck the toes of the left foot, slide the left foot out so the left leg is straight. Tuck the toes of your right foot and shift it over a little back behind you. It's the kickstand. So the first stage is to shift your weight, stack hip on hip, shoulder on shoulder, resting on your right hand, right knee, right toes, inner edge of the left foot. Take a breath and engage the muscles of the legs and lift the left leg so it's parallel to the floor. Open the heart. So as the low belly is turning down towards the floor, the ribs and the chest and the heart move towards the sky. And breathe. If you feel steady here, you can stretch the top arm forward. Just don't pull it way behind you. Pull it slightly forward and move the heart up towards the hand. Nice. If you want a little more freedom, a little more play, bend the left knee, take hold of the top of the foot, and arc out. You can stop. This bus stop yoga, you stop at any point, but find a sense of freedom and playfulness wherever you are in this movement. Next, inhale, release, come back to center. Tuck the toes of the right foot, slide it back. Left kickstand goes back, shift over, stack hip on hip, shoulder on shoulder, right hand on your right hip. The inner edge of the right foot is down. Even if the right foot's on the floor, you're still isometrically dragging the inner right foot towards your hand, towards the top of your mat, as you're extending away with the outside of the foot. If you want to stay here, otherwise lift the right leg, hip height. It's kind of, we call it baby moon, right? Quarter moon, half moon. Stretch the arm up if you want it, and breathe here. So the certainty, the karma keeps you steady from falling over, but the playfulness is just the fun, the openness in the heart, spreading your fingers. If you wish to take hold of the top of the foot into a kind of Chapasana, baby dancer type half moon, and inhale, release. Stretch back into child's pose. Notice what's going on. What are you feeling? Inhale your way back up to table. Tuck your toes, lift into a downward facing dog, and begin to walk your dog, bending one knee and then the other, pedaling it out. Then come into this revolutionary, kind of from plank to dog. So inhale your way to plank. Exhale, soften the knees, lift the sits bones, go back to dog. Inhale, plank. Exhale, dog. One more, inhale, plank. Exhale, dog. Now we'll add the knee down through the crouch position into dog. So inhale, plank, lower the knees. Exhale, back to crouch and unfurl into dog. Inhale, plank, lower the knees. Exhale, crouch into dog. So it's seamless. You're not stopping at each point, rolling through the movement at your own pace as you roll through. Matching the breath with the movement. It's your dance partner. It has to flow with you. And the next time you come to dog, pause there. Oh, walk your hands back to your toes, forward bend at the back of your mat. Oh, knees can be soft. You can come into half forward bend with the knees back over the ankles, not forward of the ankles, the butt way back, hips high, and the back long, or full forward bend. You bow deeply. If you're bowing fully into the full Uttanasana, release the head, release the neck. Next, inhale, halfway up, hands on your hips. Shrug the tops of your shoulders towards your ears. Lift the head of the arm bones towards the sky. And from the core of the pelvis, press down, hinge from the hips, and rise up. Nice. Release, step to the top of your mat. Do a couple of sun salutations. Do it in a sense of, so what playfulness can bring to your practice, especially if you're working with injuries, and I know a lot of you are, with a sense of playfulness, you'll be more attentive. So you're not trying to kill anything. It's just like, oh, what happens when I do this? What happens when I do that? Does it hurt here? Does it feel better here? Is it more stable in another position? Lift all 10 toes, feet are parallel. So these are happy feet. Lift the four corners of the feet. Lift the toes and the four corners of the feet connect. The ball of the foot nearest the big toe presses into the earth. Lift your inner arch, inner heel presses, fan out to the ball of the foot nearest the baby toe. Energetically in your mind, at least lift your outer arch and tack down the outer heel. Keep that, micro bend the knees forward slightly, sort of like they feel bent, maybe even look bent. Hug the heels towards each other isometrically. The same time, the inner thighs go back, stick the butt back a bit, and then you bring it on home, click it all together as the tailbone moves down. You push away from the earth and lengthen away rather than lock the knees. Next, inhale, rise up. Exhale, bow forward. Inhale, prepare, step the right leg back, straight leg lunge. Step back, plank pose. Lower down, either through chaturanga or knees, chest, and chin. Little easy cobra, stretch the legs long, lift the head of the arm bones, come up. Next exhale, tuck your toes, downward facing dog. Not holding anything too long. Step your right foot forward. You can lower the back knee and haul it forward. Light on the fingertips. Breathe for a moment. And next, exhale, push forward into forward bend or half forward bend. Hands on the hips, shrug the shoulders, and wait for the wave of your inhale as you rise up, hinging from the hips. And release. Inhale, rise up. Exhale, bow forward. Inhale, prepare, step your left leg back, straight leg lunge. Pause a moment. Step back, plank pose. Pause. Playfully lower the knees, chest and chin, all the way to the floor. Stretch the legs back, shrug the shoulders, lift the head of the arm bones, and come into an easy cobra. Exhale, tuck your toes, downward facing dog. Next, inhale, step your left leg forward, straight leg lunge. Pause, lighten up on the fingertips. And push off, step forward into forward bend or half forward bend. Wait for the wave of the inhale, hinge from the hips and rise up. Release. Whew. Inhale, rise up. Exhale, bow forward. Inhale, prepare, step your right leg back, straight leg lunge. Keep the back heel high, scissor the legs, bring the hands to the front thigh. So here's where that sense of play comes in. You'll feel wobbly here. Feet still need to be hip width apart, not on tightrope, but still hip width apart. Scissor together like you had roller skates on and you did not want to do the splits. Bend the back knee, scissor more, pull in more, scoop the tailbone. Now the shoulder blades can come over the hips more easily. Hands on the hips, head of the arm bones move back. Now stretch through the back of your right heel, presses back, the right leg straightens. Other right leg, Carrie. Yeah, your alt right leg, your back leg. Let's go back, let's forget left and right. Let's do back and front. Right. Inhale, rise up. The left hand grabs the right wrist and you arc towards your bent leg side, the left side. And a nice stretch across the front of the body. Straighten the back leg even more. Oh, bend the front leg even more. Woo. Inhale, release. Step back. Downward facing dog. Does anybody want a tad more air conditioning? Yes? Jerry, would you mind pumping the AC up a bit? I don't want to walk back there. All right. Step your right leg forward, straight leg lunge. Feet are still hip width apart, not on a tightrope. Steady the legs before you come up. Scissor the legs. Hands on the front thigh, come up about halfway. Bend the back knee, scissor in, scoop the tailbone. That allows the shoulders to come over the hips without straining the low back. Then with the legs strong and tailbone to xiphoid connected, the left leg straightens. You should feel a big stretch without unbending the front knee. Yeah, right? There's the trick. There's the rub. Where is that from anyway? Inhale, rise up. Yeah, the right hand grabs the left. So your front leg arm grabs the back leg and you stretch towards your bent leg side, towards the right. Breathe. Straighten the back leg more. And bend the front leg. Just the knee does not come forward of the ankle, but don't unbend it in the process. Inhale your way back up to center. And release, step back, plank pose. And take a breath here. Might walk the knees in a tiny bit, claw the floor with the hands, hug the thumbs towards each other, shoulder blades soften on the back, the head's in line with the spine. Bend the knees so they almost touch the floor, but not quite. Keep the hips high. So Carrie, it's more, rather than this, it's more like you're coming down to table. Hug, it's a crazy, soften the heart. It's a lot of core work. Woo. Just hover and release all the way to the floor. And take a moment, make a pillow with your hands, windshield wiper the legs back and forth. Plant your hands, tuck your toes, shrug the shoulders, and lift into downward facing dog. Walk your hands back to your feet, forward bend at the back of your mat. Next, inhale, hinge from the hips and rise up. And release. All right, balance time. Get a block. You know what's coming. If you don't have a block, this can be pretty, you can get a same feeling on a folded towel or a yoga mat because it gives you too much play. And that's what we're working on, is a little bit of play. So flatten the block, yeah. And you can, if your feet feel bigger, you can always make a extension. But stand on the block with your left foot The right toes are on the floor. So you find a surface that's a little unstable. If you're using, so Mary, I know you have those hard cork blocks, you will not get that same wobbly effect on a cork block. It's the same as standing on a hard floor. But if you're on a foam block or on a couple of folded, a blanket or a towel of some sort, you'll find more wobbly. Even carpet, I find harder to hold balance on. So anything that's a little soft and a little squishy. And we stand here, and as you press from the core of the pelvis all the way down through to the four corners of the standing foot, then pull back up into the core of the pelvis, hug out. Hands on the hips, sometimes that helps with stability because the hands move down to, that's the karma. The playfulness comes in once the left leg takes over all the weight, and the right toes, sorry, are just skimming the floor. Turn the right knee out, place the foot on the ankle or the calf, or if you're working deeper, tree pose into the inner thigh, and then the arms, just let them, don't try to control them. The lower body, woo, have some fun. Keep your breath, keep your focus, and do creative tree, right? Just try to balance, and then try to throw your, yes, if you come off, you're just like, I meant to do that. That's what the cat does. And release. That gives this hip flexor quite a workout when it's wobbling. If you have a foam block, flip it over because you made a good imprint there. Otherwise, change sides. Absolutely. So what Carrie said, good observation. Carrie said what she noticed because of these foam blocks, I call them the memory foam blocks, you get off and you can see, wow, it's deeper in one part of the foot than the other. And she said her back heel, right, your outer heel. So yeah, so now you know something, you have information. So now you will work to distribute the weight across the four corners of the feet. And it will not stay steady. It will go back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. That's the play. And you just play here for a minute before you go back and play with the balance. It's my thing, I say it all the time. You look at young children and they're practicing, they're playing with their balance all the time. We get a little older and we're just too cool to play with our balance. So be less cool, play with it, right? And then come into some version of the tree. Keep your focus, not looking at something moving helps. So if you look at something on the floor or the wall in front of you, and then start to bring the branches up. And then play with it. Just consciously bring your own breeze into the practice. See how many, like if you were a kid, you would say, look, Ma, look, Mom, watch. Got to bring that into our lives more. So my therapy during this time has been my 6-year-old granddaughter. Like, you know, it just brings me back to myself. Shake it off. All right, another standing pose. So we'll start with, he'll flip it back so you get a fresh side or a fresh block if it hasn't healed. So this will go from, it's like in kids classes, I call it flamingo. So it's a sense where the leg is back and you're here and you're just, it's kind of a Shiva dance too, all right? So stand on your left foot, yes, thank you. Trying to figure out, can't do it anymore. All right, you stand steady. And there will be wobble. As you stand steady, flex the right foot, bend it back behind you, bend the left knee a little bit, not a lot, just enough, keeping the weight more towards the back of the foot, but step on the gas with the ball of the foot. The hands come in Anjali Mudra, and you keep bending and get weirder and weirder. Lift the chest, so it's not dropping the upper body, it's a cobra back. And release. Hip flexors, yes? So what the wobbly surface does, you got a little more even? What the wobbly surface does is force the muscles in the leg to like really engage. If I'm here on the floor, it's work, but I'm not worried about falling off the floor. So in the block, you have to like get a little more karma, a little more certainty to hug in. All right, side B, second side. Steady through the four corners of the standing foot. I start with the hands on the hips to lift the head of the arm bones, tailbone to xiphoid, keep that connection. Then bend both knees and start to spread the knees apart. Oh yeah, wobble, wobble. Hands together in Anjali Mudra, lift the heart. It's as though you're trying to lift the left heel to the back of your head, but that's the direction, not where it's going to go. You bend the standing leg as much as you think you can. And release. Well done. So that's like baby warrior 3, or it's bent-legged warrior 3. Regular warrior 3, yes, the third time, sorry. You're gonna feel these guys. Glutes, hip flexors. Don't we want to? We do. All right. Oh yeah, the Boson board. So if you've been to a gym, they have a Boson board. If you got one of those, oh my God, use it, but it's hard. Okay, so first side, left foot. Warrior 3, you can stay with flamingo if that's where you're happy today and you can feel that great balance between karma and lila, certainty and uncertainty. Otherwise, as we come into it, the leg is straight, lift the head of the arm bones, woo! And you start, maybe you just do a backslash, you're at a diagonal. The upper body doesn't move faster, good Jill, yes, and the arms can get creative. They can be out airplane style or thrashing and release, good. It's very hard on the block, but more fun. Flip side, last time. Good dent. Good dent. Oh, because you were pressing so hard? The mat pressed on the bottom of the block. That says something. All right, warrior 2. You start upright as flex the left leg, your back leg, lift from the inner edge of the back thigh and keep lifting until the upper body has to tilt. So you're not trying to get the upper body down. It goes down because the left leg, keep lifting from the inner edge of the back thigh. The outer left hip moves down. So the hips are square. Woo. And you tilt as far as you can. Airplane arms if you want them. And release. Shake off. That's like work. Who put that on the schedule? All right. And then for a counter stretch, you can go to the wall or a chair, but a nice stretch across the quadricep. So you can be off the block. It's a little crazy to do it on the block. To get to my ankle, I have this little workaround. It's not a cheat, it's a workaround. Put your hand on the top of the knee, slide it down, then I can pull it back. Can hold onto the wall or chair, or just bounce around the room. The arm's in front of you, so if you're at the wall, face the wall, pull the head of the arm bone, your right arm. So if you're holding your left leg, it doesn't matter, hold a leg, and stretch it back. Lift and get a good stretch as you pull the heel towards your outer hip and release, chain sides. All right. If you're at the wall, play with your balance. You're not leaning against the wall, you're using it to help you be more playful, to be more free. And you kick it back first, and once you open, start to pull the heel back towards the outer hip just for a bigger quadricep stretch. And release. Shake off. All right, quadricep stretch 2. I like a blanket. We'll be doing a knee down lunge. Here's where you may want to use a strap. It's your choice. Depends on whether you can get a hold of your foot or not. All right, step to the top of your mat. Stand in mountain pose, Tadasana. Breathe, settle. Reconnect with the breath, the playfulness of the breath. Next, inhale, rise up. Exhale, bow forward. Inhale, prepare and stretch your right leg back, straight leg lunge. Lower the back knee, keep the back toes tucked. You may want a block near you if you need to help yourself lift up. Work towards moving the back knee, the right knee, back behind the hip, or wiggling the front foot forward. Front knee is straight up and down, not forward. And just take a breath here. If you have, of course I don't have them, your 2 blocks, bring them up high, outer shoulder width apart, and come down onto your forearms. Scissor the legs together, which means engage the back leg as though you're almost ready to lift your right knee off the floor. Don't bring it off the floor, come towards that place. The front foot, press down through the 4 corners of the foot, particularly the inner edge of the foot. We tend to roll to the outside. Hug the inner right knee the left knee towards the left shoulder. So your arms are both arms on the inside, Carrie, if you can. There you go. And you can even wiggle the left foot over to the left to get it out of your way a little bit if you want to. There you go. And breathe here. The front foot, the back knee is dragging forward, the front foot's dragging back. So you feel a little engagement in your adductors, the inner thigh muscles. If you're feeling anything in the low back, you have to use the legs more, hug to the midline, scissor the legs, tailbone lengthens, and coming slightly towards the pubic bone so the low belly tones. Not grips, but tones. If this is pretty easy peasy, blocks can come down another notch as long as the head doesn't fall forward faster. The heart moving toward the floor faster than the head. All right, here's the fun part. Those of you at home can back up to a wall or hook the leg over a chair or edge of a bed or a couch, but the rest of us mere mortals will just deal with it, right? Right. Lift the back knee. I have to come out of the front foot a little bit. Reach around with the opposite hand. Here's where you can use a strap to lasso. I have to back out of it. Right hand's on the block and bring the block down a bit, Sherry. Those are thin blocks, so just so you don't have quite, yeah, double. Nice. Begin to twist. So as the low belly is moving back towards the right, got that, Carrie? Good. All right. Yeah, you can carry it over like a backpack. Yeah, there you go. Flex the foot, spread the toes. There you go. There you go. You got it. It can be on the ankle. It can be on the ankle. Yeah. That's fine. All right. No, I know. It's just we need to stay here for a while because this gets tight because many of us are sitting probably more than we want to. Need to. Oh. And release. You can just be grateful and change sides, or if you want a dog in between, take a dog to stretch it out. It feels kind of nice. Otherwise, we'll meet you on the other side. Right foot forward, left knee down. Keep the back toes tucked. So in classic yoga, you might see pictures where the back toe is untucked. And if you do that, you feel, it's harder to engage the leg. You can do it, it's just harder. When the back toes are tucked, I can pull forward with the back toes and the back knee and push back with the back heel. That engages that leg. All right, so we'll come first into the lizardy lungy thing. That's the technical term for it. Come onto your forearms and notice the immediate tendency to rock the weight to the outside edge of the front foot. So keep the back leg engaged, still pulling forward. And as your inner thighs move back, the tailbone scoops and you press on all 4 corners of the front foot, particularly the big toe ball and the inner heel. Hug the right inner knee towards the right shoulder. May or may not touch, but it's moving in that direction. Soften between your shoulder blades, the back of your heart. So you might be saying about now, so what does this excruciatingly difficult hip opener have to do with playfulness? If we're not open, we can't play. So if our hips are tight, how can you jive to the music, right, Jill? You've got to have some loose hips when you put the music on. And Jill's my resident music professor. She tells me all the good lyrics to the songs that work within themes. I love it. I have a source. And then come up, I have to shift back. Some people can go from here and lift the back leg and reach it. All I do is get a hamstring cramp. So I have to almost back all the way up and then reach back. Then shift forward. It's best to bring the block down on a little bit lower level. Be careful or that you don't flip over. Oh, and then the twist is to the other side. Yeah, owie yowie. I'm gonna flip around here and turn away. Woo. So it's opposite hand and leg. See if you can opposite hand and leg. So we go to the twist. There you go. Maybe. Work your, if you've got a hold of the foot, work it to the outside baby toe side of the foot. Wiggle it around. Oh yeah. Now that wakes me up. Yes, right? And every time I do these poses, I say to myself, I should do this more. What does that tell you? And release. Whoa. Nice dog or rest in child's pose. I know, we should make the, we were saying, Jill was saying that we should have the online people turn your mics on so we can hear you grunt and groan. All right, come on down. So if those of you at home have a strap, use it. If you don't have a strap, use just an errant dog or cat hanging around and just drape them over your leg. Otherwise, I'll give you some ways you can do this without the strap. So it's not a deal breaker. Come all the way back. Knees bent, feet on the floor. Robot arms, bend the elbows, the fingers are spread. As you press down with the elbows, lift your shoulder blades off the floor a little bit and scoot them in towards each other. And then tack the top of your head of your arm bones towards the earth. As you press into your feet and draw them back towards the hips, you'll get a little low back curve as well. Keep that, but lengthen the tailbone so you firm the low belly. Keeping all of that, Cinderella's in my one fella. Draw your right knee up just enough that you can hold to the back of the hamstring, not to interlace the hands, but just grab onto both sides of the hamstring muscle, pull the hamstring muscle apart. As you push the foot into the hands, and the hands pull back, you begin to reseat the SI joint. Should feel good. There's some work there without hunching your shoulders. Then slowly move towards straight. You'll feel the hamstring in your hands start to really engage and tighten. Keep it, can't keep it soft, but you can massage into it a bit as you move towards straight. Here's where, if you have a strap, you can pull the strap around the sole of the foot, or you can keep holding the back of the leg. This is actually very therapeutic to push the thigh into the hands, the hand into the thigh. If you're holding with a strap, you push energetically in your imagination, push the back of the thigh into your imaginary hands. Shoulder blades move onto the back. We tend to, when we do this, tend to pull the head of the arm bones off the floor. Keep them tacked down as best you can. And you pull the right leg, the toes come towards the right shoulder to the degree you can and still maintain some remembrance of your low back curve. If you flattened the back into the floor, bend the knee again, come back and reset your low back curve. Keep the low back curve, belly button moves towards the spine lifts up towards the belly button. It's even, it's easy. And breathe. Get as much stretch, but it's eccentric stretch because the muscles are engaged. It's not a floppy stretch. You're still keeping the core working. Take the strap, both straps, into the opposite hand. If your right leg is up, you're holding the straps with the left. And I'll give you the non-strap option if we have it. With the left knee still bent, push into your left foot, lift your hips and bump them over to the right and begin to roll all the way over onto your left side. The right shoulder will come off the floor for now. But the right leg stays parallel to the floor. Even though it could drop down, it stays parallel to the floor. The left knee stays bent, and pull the left knee back behind you as though you were going to reach for it. We may or may not, but that's the direction it's going. As you, with the left elbow bent, push into the left elbow, lift your left shoulder blade, scoot it over to the left so the right shoulder can come down and your heart and ribs can begin to turn to the right. If you don't have a strap, you can hold the back of your thigh with the opposite hand. So the left hand can hold the back of the right thigh right above the knee and support. Actually, it's almost easier there because you can support your leg onto the palm of the hand. Still get a good stretch there. For those of you who are feeling really playful and want to go crazy, keep bending the bottom leg, your left leg. I have to lift the knee up, take hold of it as we did in the knee down lunge. Maybe take hold of it, maybe just move it in that direction. You can still either hold behind the straight leg with the hand or use the strap. Keep the leg parallel with the floor. Don't let it flop down. Your hips are stacked just on top of each other. Are we feeling this enough? Oh. And inhale your way back to center. Oh, straighten the legs, straighten the arms, and stretch out. Over. Stretch long, feels good, all the way across the front. Bend the knees, place feet on the floor. First, without the strap, get your low back curve. Set your robot arms, press the forearms, upper arms into the earth, lift your shoulders and slide your shoulder blades underneath you. Tack the head of the arm bones down. That lifts the chest. With press into the soles of the feet, pull the heels back towards the hips so the low back arches away from the floor. Then lengthen the tailbone, drop the belly button down towards the spine. The back waist just comes a smidge closer to the earth, but does not touch. So you keep that sense of upliftment. It's a 360 core work as opposed to just pressing the front abs back. It's my core sandwich. Pull it up. From there, draw your left knee just over the hip. The hands come right on either side of the hamstring, as low, it does about midway down, doesn't matter, wherever you can reach. Still keeping the low, back waist curve off the floor on the left side. The shin can either come parallel or the heel can stay down by the hip. It's more about pressing the thigh into the hands into the thigh. What that's doing is getting the thigh bone to the back of the hip socket so the SI joint can find some freedom. When we like cramp it all up and round everything up, pull it in, it just, the SI joint begins to complain. So you push here, keeping the shoulders as soft as possible. So it's not a pull, but it's just enough resistance that you feel it. And then keeping that, straighten the leg or move towards straight. Keep pressing the thigh into the hands, hands into the thigh. You can stay here or take the strap around the sole of the foot. Still keeping that sense of pushing the thigh, the back of the thigh into your hands. The hamstring pushes into your hands, the hands support it. So there's a sense of moving towards the back plane of the body. And breathe. You can bring the leg as close to you as you want. If I bring it too close, my low back completely collapses on the floor. So while I can bring it closer, but I've lost my low back curve. I've lost that love and feel it. So you pull it up as far as you can, still get a hamstring stretch without collapsing the low back. That's a good, deep, eccentric, safe stretch. And you won't overstretch anything if you do it this way. And then push into the right foot, lift your hips, bump them over to the left, and roll all the way onto your right side. The left shoulder blade will come off the floor for now. If you're using a strap, hold it. Again, the left leg is parallel with the floor. Or if you have no strap, I just make a little shelf with the palm of my hand, still holding the back of the hamstring, and I make a shelf here. It actually works quite nice. The outer left hip rolls away from the ribs. Do you notice how the outer left hip wants to roll close to the ribs? Pull them away, pull them down. Then as you press into your right elbow, lift your right shoulder blade off the floor and scoot it closer to the right so the left shoulder blade comes on the floor. Now the low belly and the top leg are moving to the right. The ribs, heart, and gaze are rolling to the left, the opposite side. If you want more fun, wiggle your bottom leg back so the knee starts to point straight down to the floor, or take hold of the foot and come into the triple whammy twisty stretchy thing. And see where your breath is. Sometimes it goes underground here. It gets very shallow. You stop breathing. So bring the deep breath to the low belly. Oh. On your next inhale, release. Oh, release feels so good, right? Shake your legs and your arms, dying roach pose. And let's do a quick bridge. You can either do a supported bridge or a quick dynamic bridge. Feet parallel, slightly pigeon-toed because they'll move out. Press through the soles of the feet, pull the heels back towards the hips as the sits bones move towards the heels to get a low back curve. That's inner thighs back. Then into that space, tailbone lengthens so the low belly tones. Robot arms press into your elbows and snuggle your shoulder blades underneath you. Lift your hips just an inch or two, not too far. Reset. Hug the heels back towards the hips. And the inner thighs move towards the heels, lengthen the tailbone, move up, snuggle your shoulder blades underneath you a little bit more. Do this a couple of more times. You exhale, you soften, and reset, get the inner thighs moving back, the groins get soft, tailbone lengthens on the inhale as you rise up to your full bridge. Center back of the head is your focal point here. So the center back of the head, the upper palate, moves towards the floor, the chin lifts slightly. Don't drop the chin, that would cut off your air. So lift the chin enough that the air will pass. And from the upper palate, send the energy out through the knees and down through the earth. And from the upper palate, send it out through the crown of the head. Lift more, expand, and release. Draw your knees in, hug them in, make circles on the back of the sacrum, then the upper back, middle back. And do any moves you want to do before final relaxation. Oh, stretch it out long. And come to settle. Be easeful. Begin to deepen your breath. Bring gentle movement to your fingers or toes. Those of you at home, if you want to stay in Shavasana longer, please feel free. And gradually draw your knees in and roll to your side and rest there for a few moments. We don't remember, but when we were kids and we played hard, our parents usually liked that because it meant we went to bed easy. So it's easier to rest when we play hard. We play as we're meant to play. Rolling a little more to your side, press yourself up to a seated position and sit well. Or if you're continuing to Shavasana at home, stay where you are. Draw your palms together in front of your heart center. We have to play our game. You play your game, I play mine. We can't play, we have to walk our own path. And always bring some play into it. If there's no playfulness, just what good is it? Bow, namaste. Thank you guys. Someday we'll all be back in here together when we feel safe. Bye, Anne. Thank you. Thanks, Eileen. Bye, Emmy. Bye, Chuck. Chuck was sleeping on her the whole time. Yeah. Bye, Mary.